You're watching Epic Wealth in History. Every Tuesday and Friday, we uncover the histories they tried to bury.
For 1,000 years, it was the most formidable barrier on Earth. A stone titan sleeping between two seas, its back turned to the continent, its face set against the world. This was not merely a wall. It was a statement. A declaration that here, at the edge of Europe, civilization would make its final stand. Its story begins not with stone and mortar, but with a crisis. The Roman Empire was fracturing, its western half buckling under the weight of invasion and decay. But in the east, in the city of Constantinople, an emperor envisioned a different future. Theodosius II, though just a boy when he ascended the throne, would lend his name to the greatest defensive system ever built. His Praetorian prefect, Anthemius, acted as regent and visionary. He saw the city's existing walls, built by Constantine, as insufficient for the new threats looming on the horizon. The Huns were a storm gathering in the steppes, a nomadic force of unimaginable violence. Anthemius knew the old defenses would not hold. So he began the impossible. A few kilometers west of the old walls, a new line was drawn. This would not be a single wall, but a complex of three. An outer wall, a taller inner wall, and a massive moat fronting it all. It was a masterpiece of layered defense, designed to break any army against its successive lines. The scale was staggering. The inner wall alone rose over 12 meters high, punctuated by 96 massive towers. These towers were not just stone blocks. They were artillery platforms, designed to host the Empire's most advanced projectile weapons. They could rain death upon any foe caught between the walls. For 12 years, thousands of laborers toiled. They quarried stone, mixed mortar, and raised a fortress that stretched 6 kilometers from the Sea of Marmara to the Golden Horn. It was completed in 413 AD, a testament to Roman engineering and sheer will. The city was now a fortress. But fate is a fickle architect. In 447 AD, a massive earthquake struck the region. It shattered large sections of the magnificent walls, along with 57 of its towers. The city lay vulnerable, its mighty breastplate cracked. And at that most inopportune moment, Attila the Hun was on the march. Panic gripped Constantinople. The empire's most feared enemy was approaching, and its primary defense was in ruins. Theodosius II issued a desperate plea, and the city responded. Under the command of the urban prefect Cyrus, a monumental effort began. Not only were the walls restored, but they were enhanced. The great moat was dug out in front, its scarp reinforced with a stout wall. This moat was over 20 meters wide and 10 meters deep, a watery grave for any attacker. The city didn't just rebuild, it built back stronger. The Theodosian walls were now truly complete. A triple line of death: the moat, the low outer wall, and the colossal inner wall with its forest of towers. Attila the Hun, seeing this resurrected giant, turned his armies away. He sought easier prey. The walls had won their first victory without a single battle. For the next 8 centuries, they were the immutable law of the border. They faced down Avars and Arabs, Bulgars and Russians. In the 7th century, the Umayyad Caliphate laid a terrible siege, certain their faith and fury would prevail. For 4 years, they threw themselves against the stones. The defenders used a terrifying new weapon, a substance that would become legend: Greek fire. It was a liquid flame that could not be extinguished by water, clinging to men and ships, burning even on the sea. The walls became a blazing rampart, and the Arab armies were repulsed. The walls were more than a military structure. They were a psychological constant. For the citizens of Constantinople, they were a divine promise of safety. For their enemies, they were a symbol of impossible defiance. They shaped the very identity of the Byzantine Empire. But empires rot from within. In 1204, the unthinkable happened. Not from an external foe, but from fellow Christians of the Fourth Crusade. The Venetians found a forgotten sally port, a single, unguarded gate. Through that tiny breach, an empire was betrayed. The walls had been circumvented, not broken. They stood strong, but the will behind them had fractured. It was a lesson in the limits of any fortification. The strongest stone is only as resilient as the spirit of those who guard it. The city never fully recovered from this blow. The final chapter came in 1453. A new power, the Ottoman Empire, led by the young and brilliant Sultan Mehmed II, set its sights on the prize. He brought something new to the walls. Monster. A massive cannon, built by a Hungarian engineer named Orban, capable of shattering stone. For weeks, the cannonballs hammered the ancient Theodosian stonework. Sections of the outer wall were pulverized. But the defenders, under Emperor Constantine XI, fought with the desperation of a dying world. They repaired the breaches at night, fighting off endless assaults by day. The walls held. Even against the great cannon, the layered defense proved incredibly resilient. The Ottomans were losing men and momentum. Mehmed knew he had to find another way. He devised an audacious plan to drag his ships over land, bypassing the sea chains. On May 29th, the final assault began. For hours, the walls held. The tide of battle seemed to turn in the defenders' favor. But then, a fateful mistake. A small military gate, the Kirkoporta, was left open. Ottoman soldiers poured through this tiny opening. The breach was psychological as much as physical. The defense collapsed. The last Roman emperor charged into the fray, vanishing into history. The walls, which had stood for a millennium, were finally overcome. Not by a single weapon, but by a combination of relentless force and a single fatal error. The age of the walled city was over. The age of gunpowder had begun. The Ottomans, recognizing their genius, repaired and maintained the walls. They stood guard for another 4 centuries, a testament to their original builders. They were still a formidable defense. Time, however, is the one enemy no wall can withstand. As Constantinople became Istanbul, the walls lost their military purpose. They were quarried for stone, pierced by new roads, and slowly reclaimed by nature. Their grandeur faded into picturesque decay. Today, they still stand in fragments. You can walk alongside their crumbling bulk, tracing the line where history was decided. You can stand in the shadow of a tower that saw the flames of Greek fire and heard the roar of Mehmed's cannon. The stones are silent now, but if you listen closely, you can almost hear the echoes. The clatter of armor, the shouts of soldiers, the prayers of a civilization under siege. The walls of Theodosius were more than a fortification. They were the shield of Byzantium, the stubborn heart of an empire that refused to die. They defied kings and caliphs, earthquakes and sieges. They witnessed the end of the ancient world and the birth of the modern. They are a monument to human ingenuity and a sobering reminder that no defense is eternal. They are the stones that time could not forget.